Okay, so let's just start our call. The first agenda item is the implementation needs. Lawrence, Derek, do you guys want to share some updates from your side?
Can I go first?
Sure.
All right, so I'll just quickly say thank you for the issues that have been able to be resolved in the past 1 week. Some of them were key, like the synchronizing issue. We say thank you to Win and Simon. And then just to report back, we were able to meet with Safaricom again, and we've had quite a number of the lines reactivated. They still have like 18 lines to resolve because
Are those like expired SIM card or something?
yes, they're actually expired, but they've reactivated all of them and changed the data plan to the postpaid plan, so we won't run into the expiry issue anymore, which is a good thing. Then they also promised by first of every month they'll have sent in the bundles to the lines.
Great.
We hope that's resolved for now.
Great.
Yeah, and then the other issue is on regarding the expanded cohorts. I think Simon has worked on the bigger part of it, but maybe this is just more of a question on the same. We had requested earlier on if it would be possible to define a cohort using more than one parameter, especially for the loss to follow-ups in our case. So apart from saying I want patients from this location to form this cohort, I'd probably want to go further and say from this location, give me patients who have not shown up in clinic for the last 3 months from their last TCA. So I don't know if that's a flexibility that can be built in at this stage or something that's going to come in later. I don't know if that made sense.
Simon, do you want to comment on this one?
Yeah, what the expanded cohort allows now is to create an SQL statement, and I believe we can do one for the case that you are describing, Lawrence.
Okay, we can try it out and see how it works.
Yeah, I think maybe we should maybe try after this. We come up with an SQL statement that can cover the criteria that you need.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Sure. How about you, Derek?
I would like also to thank the whole team for coming up and sorting out most of the issues that we've had. Maybe just to echo from LAC's team is that everything so far, Mosoriot community units that were rolled out earlier, things are working very well. We've only had a challenge because of the same Safaricom cards that we procured from them. And going on, what is happening is that LAC team liaised with Lawrence, and Safaricom has promised to also reactivate the LAC SIM cards that had expired earlier. And right now, as I speak, the issue lastly, as I checked yesterday, it was with procurement. So I would say we'll give it them a wait, and our timelines were by Monday, such that by Tuesday next week we can start rolling out turbo sites. For now, the devices are ready. Yeah.
Hey, Derek, just one quick question. Do you know if the providers actually sync the complete form data to the server? Because we don't see the encounters in the server.
Yeah, as per now, when I checked yesterday, lastly, we had only the forms that we used during rollout that were existing on the server. And so far, no other new form has come in. Because one of the issues I know is because of bundles. LAC bundles have not yet been dispatched yet by Safaricom. They made a request quite late, kidogo, and that means that Safaricom, after working for finishing the CDM SIM cards, they are now working towards reactivating the LAC card SIM cards. So I think the issue why there's no submission coming onto the server and synchronization is because of lack of data bundles of those to those particular CAWs in the field.
So
Yeah.
actually, for the lab team, is it correct that most of the complete form data is still in the devices, and because of the SIM card and data bundle issue, they were not able to sync to the server?
I would say so.
Okay, yeah. So maybe after the SIM card and bundle issue has resolved, please double check whether they were able to sync successfully.
Awesome.
Sure.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. That's all I have today.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe just one quick one, Ada, before you close our session.
Sure.
We now have the new OMOD processor on production, and we've tried a few of the forms, but there's one thing I was thinking maybe if it can be done soon would be helpful. Since we have like 300 forms on the error queue, you realize we have to select one by one. So if we can get a multi-select option to allow us to multi-select the forms and then requeue them back, that would be useful. I don't know if that's
what do you mean, like queue them back? You mean
Because-
like reprocessing them?
Yes, to reprocess them, to allow us to throw them back to the queue.
Yeah.
Maybe
Ed,
Simon-
I think what it means is that because when we got the new registration on the production server, we are sure that that OMOD can resolve quite a number of errors that are currently on the error queue. So what Lawrence, I think what he wants is to now requeue all the errors that he thinks can go successful. So when it comes to requeuing, I think you have to be checking one error at a time, and it would be quite tedious for him to queue all of them.
Is it this one that with the issue with the registration? Is it that one? When you say like to select multiple?
He just want to requeue all the errors on the error queue currently to see whether they can be processed.
Hey, Wayne, can we just do like a script just to resubmit and reprocess those error queue currently in the server, and then so that we can screen out those actually didn't have problems? We can just like reprocess everything, and then if they have any problem, and then it will go back to the error. If they don't have issue, it will be resolved and put in the right table.
Okay, I think on the UI there is no select all. I think what Lawrence wanted was some checkbox for select all. But I know we did it on test server. You can go direct to do an SQL statement that would select all entries from the mUzima error data and put them on the mUzima queue data, and then you clear what is on the error data. But what I'm not sure is whether that would be acceptable to the team.
Maybe first back up the error queue table first, and then it's okay to do the MySQL statement if the UI is not available. But let's just double check on the UI first. If you guys don't think that it's there, like let's just double check before we decide that's the route we go.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, because both Win and Sridhar think that actually the UI has that option.
Hi, just want to let you guys know that I think the UI right now is a paginated kind of UI. So if there's more than 10 forms or so, it divides the thing into pages. So I guess what Lawrence is facing an issue with, I may be wrong, is if he has 300 forms, he still has to select all the 10 forms on the first page, requeue, and then go to the next page, requeue all of that page. But Lawrence, like for 300 forms, is there? I'm not. It doesn't make sense for us to display all the forms in one page.
Yeah, it's okay. Like even if we can have 10 or 20 per page, but just
So
at
if
least.
on the error queue, there's a small checkbox on the left. They look like small bullets. So you just select all of them and then you hit requeue. It should queue multiple forms at one shot.
So okay, you'd select one at a time.
No, you can select multiple at a time.
Okay, maybe we haven't
Do,
updated
do you
the.
guys see my screen? Do you guys see my screen? You can actually check. I mean, it's just like by page. That's the only thing. On the left side, you see you can check all 5 forms.
Yes, that's what we have. But I was asking, is it possible to have like at the top to allow us to check all the 10 in a page at once, or we just have to go there
Like
like one
pages.
Um,
I think it could be like a feature. Um,
okay, I'm confused. Like, okay, I'm just trying to understand how the situation would come up. That are you saying that you modify 300 forms and you after modifying all 300 forms you want to just requeue all of them? Is
Well,
that
okay, I think it's for this time because we did the upload the new one. So what Lawrence has at hand is he needs to requeue almost all the
oh,
errors.
okay,
So
okay,
he finds it tedious to be checking
okay,
one at a time and moving to the next pagination and check one at a time again. So I think he finds it tedious.
yeah. Okay, I think it's a small change, so yeah, definitely we can open up a ticket for it and it shouldn't take long to do it.
Thank you.
Because I'm anyway working on the error queue, so probably I could just put that fix in.
Would appreciate.
cool. So any more questions or comments on the implementation needs? If not, let's go to the next agenda item, those blocker tickets. There are about 4 of them we have this past week.
I have one comment, Ada.
Yeah, go ahead, Win.
Uh, Before we move, Sweta, is it possible for the edit to go to a separate page instead of um, inline, and then all the JavaScript is put together in that same controller, because it kind of hard to look what's going on. And I think for if you will click one of the error queue, Ada. No, not yet. Click open it. Yeah, so you can see the URL is becoming error dash number, the UUID of the error. And for edit, I think we should go to error slash UUID slash edit. I think it should be a new path in the Angular application, and then that will display the edit mode. I think that way the controller will looks cleaner a little bit on the Angular side.
I agree, Vin. Actually, I think Vikas is back on Monday, so this is kind of I I'll share this thought with him, and maybe he should be able to fix that. For now, for today, I've just continued with the way he has done it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you about all of the code being in one controller is really not easy for anybody to read and understand what's happening inside it.
Uh-huh.
I will definitely talk to him about making a new path and
Yeah,
moving
yeah.
it to a new page. Yeah.
hmm I would just avoid the putting all the function in one controller because I
Yeah.
see a lot of like DOM changes in the controller, which we should not do in Angular.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll talk to Vikas about it.
cool. Yeah, thank you, Srita.
No problem.
I'm enjoying my allergy. Thank you, Ada.
Same here, man. Next agenda item is the blocker ticket. Simon, do you want to take lead on talking about those 4 tickets?
So we're going to see these dew points creeping up, so it will get sticky at times. Maybe not so much for today, but definitely as we head into the weekend, especially with some rain.
Yeah, so one of them is already resolved. So do we still talk about it?
Yeah, I think it's good to talk about it so that people know what happened, and then so instead of like saying that, oh, it's been fixed, but that's good to know what the reason was. Yeah.
Okay, so let me start by 257.
Okay. This one.
Yes. So this is an issue. I think it has been there for quite some time, but it manifested so much this week when Lawrence had about 100 and about 70, about 170 forms, some that had been filled to completion and some that were still in draft. So he couldn't sync those forms back to the server. Reason being, if you go to the forms section and you either select incomplete forms or complete forms, it would generate an error and exit from that point. So we looked at it, and there were logs on Accra. So this ticket was started, and it's what we've been working on. So far, what we did was to take the data, look at it, and Win helped us a lot on that. So what Win tells us is that the reason was due to incomplete forms that were being grouped together based on the patient. And now that some of the forms had not been filled, so that we could have the patient with family name, and that was throwing the error. So I don't know, maybe Win can talk about what he found, maybe how he was able to resolve this.
Yeah, so the problem is actually not related to data. What I found the other day was when we try to create the grouping, it will pull the patient information from the form data for the incomplete and both complete and incomplete. But for registration form, because it is not complete yet, so that form data will not be parsed and create the local temporary patient. So if you fill registration form and then mark it as complete, the form will be parsed and then a temporary patient record will be created locally on the device. On the case of incomplete registration form, you will have the form data but without patient, and then when the grouping try to create group for this particular form, it will pull the patient and then pull the family name, because that's how we group it. Because the patient is null, getting family name from null patient will throw null pointer exception. That is what happened. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, unless somebody has a question.
So how did we fix this? Like how do we do that?
So the first one is the patient without form data without patient now will just be displayed without their grouping. So there's no grouping for them. They will just get displayed on the incomplete form data list.
But under which patient? So usually when yeah.
It's not just gonna it's not gonna be part of any patient. So it's just gonna be on the list. It's gonna be
Okay, I see what you're saying.
yeah, because other form will be under the header. The header will be the patient name, and then you will see the form data for that patient. I think we probably need to look more into this, but I think the blocker is gone, and then we potentially need to test it further just to make sure that it's not happening.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so one concern I have is that from these tickets is that when we look at the production database, we have quite a number of patient records actually missing the family name. So my concern is that when some of those client record maybe without the family name, but then they're in one of our cohorts list, and then when we download to our local repo, what's going to happen?
Good question, Ida. We never try it. Maybe we should have.
Yeah, I think that is that's another thing that we need to. It might happen soon.
It's kind of odd because OpenMRS should validate and prevent family name.
Yeah.
Prevent patient without family name, I think.
It's a lot of them. It's like 30-something thousand.
Yeah. We probably also need to have a look at the OpenMRS data model and just.
So by family name, you mean the last name, right?
Last name.
Yes, correct.
Because I think sometime back we had an issue with the middle name being null. So that was fixed because I think middle name is an optional thing. But yeah, family name seems to be something that I guess most people have.
Yeah. So I think we need to create a ticket just to find out what happened, and then to see what to do after that.
Sure.
But it's good to actually it's good this happens so that help us to be more prepared.
Also, I think for the middle name, I've spotted some issue whereby some of the names, if you look at the database, the middle name for some is just blank, and for some has the value null. So for those records that have null, if you pull that patient down to the form, and you go to the patient summary section, you'll find that the middle name or the third name for that person indicates null.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to the encounters tab, it would throw some null point exception. So it's something I noted this morning, and I was hoping to do a ticket and work on it.
I think there was a ticket for this, and I thought this was fixed. But yeah, we can look at it again.
Yeah.
I remember that ticket like no middle initial or something like that.
Yeah, and I thought it got tested and it got closed as well. So
I think the one that was fixed, Edda, was the one where we had null appearing.
And then display like a no middle initial or something like that.
And the names.
Yes, in the names as you view the list of patients. But
Yeah.
this one, once you go further, like select a patient, and then you want to review the OBS or fill a form. That's a point where you get the null appearing as one of the names.
Mm. So let's just file a tick on this one, and then we can try to reproduce.
Yeah, I will do that. Okay, so there are no further questions. You can look at 256. Okay, this one, we have noted quite a number of reports on Accra, and it has come out not to be, from my experience, it's not blocking me to do anything, but somehow the application would throw some error. So what happens is that the structurist complains of an already closed exception that is thrown from Lucene. So I've been looking at it personally. I've not identified the problem, though. Sometime back I thought it could be an issue with concurrency, and I understand Twitter as well thinks it has to do with some issue with concurrency issue within the Lucene library. So I think this one I would maybe let either Twitter or Win maybe to give some comments on what they think.
Yeah, I tried to replicate this one last night. I was not able to replicate this in my computer. I noticed the issue is coming from when opening a form, and then the process tried to get the currently logged in user session locally, and it cannot find the user. So I was wondering, is there anything special that I need to do to replicate this, Simon? Is it possible to replicate using your data? Because I tried it last night, it wasn't.
I think it's not, because previously, from my experience, I started experiencing it when I did the registration form. And what used to happen is that immediately after you register a patient, this error is thrown. And then
So
I tried.
probably I need to try registering a few patients and then.
Yes, I tried about 6. And in those 6 cases, 2 had this error and 4 did not. So that's what made me think maybe it has to do with some concurrency, because in some cases it happens, and if you do the same thing in other cases, it doesn't happen.
Okay. I'll try to do that. That's why I was asking how to replicate this, because I tried to register just like 1 or 2 patients and it was fine. I'll try it and then I'll let you know how it goes with this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I have the details on mail. If you can check your mails.
Okay.
Or maybe I can forward you. I think I wrote something about it. Okay, if there are no further comments, I think that's it for now, Ada.
Okay, cool. Do you want to talk about 253 and 254, or you want to do another time? So you add the uncounted UI, the uncounted type item.
Okay. 253 about encounter type. This is an issue which for now I think we have resolved with the new OMAD. Well, what was happening is that some of the errors thrown were due to the inability to find encounter type from the payload. But if you look at the code, what happens is that during the processing of form data, the processor would first of all extract form UUID, then use that form UUID to ask for, to try to retrieve the encounter type ID, which is done through the, I think it's either form service or I think, yeah, which is done through the form service in OpenMRS. So if that one fails, then the processor would go ahead to try to retrieve encounter type ID from the payload, and that one is missing. So we found out that the reason why we were not able to retrieve encounter type using the form service was that the form UID was not being successfully passed from the payload due to the JSON passing, which has been resolved so far as at now. So this issue would still come in if the processor will not be able to use the form UID to retrieve an encounter type, and it will go ahead to try to get it from the payload, which is still missing. So I don't know whether this makes sense or if guys have because there is
I have a question, Simon. Can you hear me?
yes.
Yeah. So you're saying that we use a form service to get the encounter type, right?
Yes.
And the form UUID was not being parsed correctly, because of which we were not able to get the encounter type.
The form UID was not being passed because
Are
of
you
the
saying
issue.
because of? I'm so sorry,
JSON
you're
path
breaking up.
issue. You remember the
Oh,
JSON path?
path issue. Oh, I see. Okay. So yeah, I'm also running into another issue because of that, but I guess I can talk about that later. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think what you said makes sense. So how do we get around this? Do you have any ideas on how we can?
I don't know because if the form service will not be able to get encounter type, as at now within the code, it would go ahead to try to retrieve the encounter type from the payload, and that is not provided in the payload, so we would still have this kind of error.
Yeah. So should all the forms be modified to have an encounter type ID? I don't know. I don't know if that's a good solution, but it should come from somewhere. It's like,
Yeah, I think the form data should be tied to a form template, and the form template should be connected to an OpenMRS form object. And the form object in OpenMRS will have the encounter type. I think that's how the flow of the resolution to the encounter type should happen. So go ahead, Srita.
so is this information actually missing from the OpenMRS form object right now? Or is it just because the templates are not up to date? I'm not sure. What could have caused this issue?
I think this one is probably caused by the full path and partial path for
Oh, okay. Okay.
JSON JSON path. Correct me if I'm wrong, Simon.
Yeah, it was caused by that JSON path issue. But that so far we resolved to use the full path, and therefore in the current OMOD, I don't expect us to get into the same problem. However, okay, I don't know if there would be a case where the form UID would not lead to retrieving counter type. Possibly there could be such a case, and if that happens, then we would still encounter this error.
Yep.
So I'm looking at a case where, for example, there's a wrong form UID coded in onto the form, and therefore that would not lead to retrieving the encounter type.
It most likely happens because we probably try to edit the database or something directly. Because when you register a new mUzima form, you're supposed to pick the form object associated with the mUzima form. Yeah.
So I don't know if I got you correctly, Win. So what you said would be the encounter type would be retrieved from OpenMRS via, via mUzima.
Yeah, you remember the process when you register a new form, you need to select the OpenMRS form object associated with it, right?
Yeah.
And then when the form data gets submitted, the UUID of the form, mUzima form, will be sent to the server, and then the processor will figure out figure out the mUzima form object for using the UUID, and then using the mUzima form object, you can get the relation to the OpenMRS object, and now you have the OpenMRS object and then the mUzima form object. Inside the OpenMRS form object, you can find the encounter type for the form. That's how the resolution process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know whether there are any further comments, Eda.
No, I don't have. I just think it's good that we bring this up and just to discuss so that everyone understand what the problems was and how it got resolved. Because sometimes we just get it fixed, but we did not even talk about how those got fixed. I think I hope that everyone found it helpful just to go through what has been done.
Right. Yeah. So when we do this form data association at the time of registering mUzima form, we associate it with a form template, and through that connection we get to the OpenMRS form object, which actually has an encounter type ID, right?
Correct.
Right. So once we if we end up modifying it to get the encounter type through this relationship, we won't have to use the form service anymore to get the encounter type.
To get the encounter type, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we go ahead to mUzima 254. Yes, this one is the JSON path issue we've been talking about. It was first noted by Switha. So I don't know whether I can give the chance to Switha, if you can.
Actually, Simon, you're doing a great job. I think you should just continue. I'm just going to listen.
Okay, fine.
Good job, Simon.
So the issue is that when we pass the payload, that happens in the form processor. Switzer discovered that the JSON path, the JSON path library that we use was not able to retrieve retrieve data, and the reason here is that the first time you retrieve data, you give it the path. What happens that it would get to the data. However, in the cases where, for example, within the payload we have JSON sub-objects, and these objects we have in the payload, there is an encounter object, and then there is an observations object, and then there is the patient object. So ideally what we wanted is that the first time you pass through the payload was to retrieve a patient sub-object, which would be passed further to now get the individual data items in that object. So the issue then came about because we wanted to be able to retrieve, for example, a patient, and the next time when you want now to pass it further to get, for example, the patient MRS ID, then we would have some exception thrown. So looking into it, Switzer discovered that it was due to the JSON path. The first time it does pass the sub-object, it returns an array instead of a JSON sub-object. So the second time you try to pass again, you are now passing an array and giving it a JSON path, and then it throws an exception. So what we resolved to do for now was, instead of passing a sub-object that you would pass further to get individual data items, you'd just pass the original payload and use a full path. A full path means would have the path that points to the patient object and one that points to the data within that patient object. Well, I don't know if I'm making sense, but that ideally that is the issue.
Cool. Thank you, Simon.
Yeah, makes sense, Simon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Simon.
Okay, welcome.
The next one is the error resolution UI. Just update from Shweta.
When I have taken into consideration your comments about modifying the controller in such a way that they're more modular instead of putting everything into one thing and moving the edit part to a different page and a different path. But for today, that's not the way it is. But hopefully in the next demo, we'll be able to show it in that way with all the changes that you've asked for. But for today, I'm just going to show you how far I've gotten on that. So I'm going to just share my screen.
Cool.
So can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I just put in some form I filled out just before the call started, where I have some erroneous data, and I'm just going to show you. Oh, I have first. I'm going to run the scheduler. I just turned that off. I'm just checking that I don't have any breakpoints. That's it. So. So this is the form that I filled in today on the 8th of May, and looks like there's an error. And the error is that we're not able to find a provider who has an ID of 2. So this is the uploaded form data. So we have this button here, and clicking on that should bring up an edit box kind of thing. So I know that this is the value that is incorrect. So I'm going to modify it to this. And I'm going to validate the data based on the modifications that I've made. If the validation is successful, and you can see that the error is, there are no errors anymore. And then I save the edited data. And I queue it. Oh, right. So it's there in the queue again. And once the scheduler runs again, this should not end up in the error queue because I've edited and removed all the errors that were reported. So let's just see where the scheduler is. So an issue that I'm facing, which is kind of related to the JSON path issue, is I think inside our code, when we try to create observations and based on the concepts and all of those things, we're actually checking. There's a line of code where we're actually checking if. Can you guys see this? This line number 219.
Yes.
If the observation object is an instance of JSON object. Right now, because of the JSON path issue, this is not an instance of JSON object, so it doesn't go into the rest of the code over here. So none of the concepts and the observations get created. And I think this is an existing issue in the code. So whatever data, even if it's being successfully saved, the observations are not going to be there in the database. So there's no data in the database, and it's not there on the error queue either. So I'm just going to go and just check. So I created it for a patient called Jane Doe Smith. So this is the form that I filled out. But as you guys see, there are no observations because of that JSON path issue thing, which I don't know how we can fix that right now. Because even if we can get around the relative path issue by using the full path, because we're actually checking based on the instance type and it's not matching, it's not going into that code. Yeah, but I think the error queue is basically for phase 1. This is how we want it to be, and maybe in phase 2 we can add more stuff like highlighting which of the, maybe in a different color or something, where the person has to actually go directly to change instead of reading the entire form. So that's part of phase 2. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we are here. We're watching you.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
just a quick one, Shweta. Once you go to the editing mode,
mm-hmm.
if a form has like multiple errors, all those are
Mm-hmm.
going to be listed just
Yes,
below the errors.
they're all going to be listed. If there are multiple issues, they're all going to be listed, and you can modify all of them in one shot.
Okay.
But as Vin suggested, we're going to be making some more UI changes. Probably this is going to be on another page. But on the, if you see this error list, you will see all of the errors that are associated with that form. If there is more than one, you will see all of them. And you will be able to edit and correct all of them in one shot. And then there's going to be a validate which says, which, you're sure that your error, that whatever editing you've done is correct. So you validate it right here, and then you save the data, and then when you say queue, it will put it back on the queue for you.
Perfect. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Cool. Very cool. I love the UI.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's it from me. I think I've kind of I've got it up to this stage, but I'm off on vacation on Monday and Tuesday. And I think Vikas is back on Monday though, so he's going to pick up on this. And I will leave a note for him about your comments, Vin. So we'll incorporate that into the next set of changes.
Thank you, Sweeta.
Thanks, Rita. Enjoy your leave.
Enjoy your
Thank
vacation.
you. Yeah,
Still,
yeah,
you come
Oh,
back. Come back soon, please.
yeah. Yeah, I have like a 3 a.m. flight to catch, and I haven't packed, so I'm a little nervous.
adventure.
And the hotel doesn't allow us to check in till 2 p.m. So I don't know. I'm going to just be sitting in the lobby for 6 hours.
Yeah, that's always the case with us too.
Yeah, yeah,
At least the lobby usually have internet.
yes. So
So
Lawrence, I think you're going to be. Sorry, Ada. Just
go
want to
ahead.
ask Lawrence a question. So Lawrence, I think you're going to be the person who's going to be using this UI a lot. Do you see any other changes that you would like in the flow or something?
It might be a little bit too difficult for me to say that right now, but like once if
Sure.
I can have it on the test server, on the cloud server, I can run a
Okay.
few tests and give feedback, like useful
Sure.
things.
Sure. Oh, and Ada, I think I kind of messed up. I kind of uploaded the modules into the test server. I wasn't sure who will be able to undo that because I was testing, and instead of uploading my test module into my local, I kind of put it onto the test server.
I think it should
Really
be
sorry.
fine. You
Okay.
can easily replace it if needed.
Okay.
But it's good to
Yeah.
showcase though.
Yeah.
It's a test server.
No, it's okay. Yeah. It looks good. So we only have like a couple minutes left. I know that Stephen is on. Stephen, do you want to share what's going on with your side before we wrap this up?
Hello everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, I think the only small query we had from our end, and we are with the CDSS team, is so Savannah Rotichada, how to cross-check the providers, because he wanted versus location, while we did it versus the specific forms that he has. So we the best approach to it.
Hey, Stephen, do you mind to repeat that? I think it got cut off maybe a lot. We cannot catch what you said.
Oh, sorry. So this to survive, we managed to document the providers, irrespective of the Lawrence and Griven are going through, and then they'll tell us what providers are missing to us. But for luck, like we have some challenge. We share the same with Muindi. I don't know how best you can how to approach it and resolve it. Simon, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Actually, you're breaking up. Your question is not clear.
Yeah.
But what you're saying, the LAC team is not able to confirm or to counter check the list of providers. Stephen?
Probably, Simon, you have to repeat that again. Sorry, we didn't hear. I didn't hear. We didn't hear. Then
Yeah, I also didn't get your question. Or can we say maybe, can we meet after
I'll talk while typing, but it's with regards to Rotich and I send you in the morning with regards to how best we can resolve the provider issue. That where we're trying to look at the specific forms for their study for those specific forms. I think for luck, it's not.
Hey, Stephen, I think there's some internet connection from your side, so we could not hear what you said, and then you probably cannot hear what we said. Simon's going to you just get a hold with Simon after the call, since we cannot really hear each other. For other members, do you guys have any comments before we wrap this up? Sounds like a no. So have a wonderful weekend. Safe travel.
Thank you, Ada. Ada, do we have the SMS call?
I checked with Willa. He said he doesn't think so because it's still the same issue with the oxygenate. Seems like they said they found the issue, they're going to fix it, so probably just kind of like waiting on their side.
Okay, so we don't have the call then.
Yeah, that's correct. That's what he said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.